Hi guys, and welcome back to another video. So I wanted to show you guys the process of this watercolor illustration. So I guess I started off mostly in my sketchbook with some ideations and sketches. So you can see some pencil and pencil crayon doodles here. And then on the following page, I actually did kind of more of a finished sketch so that I knew what I was gonna do. Here's some footage and close-ups of the small sketches. I kind of like the posing and just the positioning of the legs a little bit better in the previous sketch compared to this cleaner sketch. But like nonetheless, I really like how the painting turned out, so I'm not quite bothered by it anymore. So after I did this sketch, I did scan it and then took it to Photoshop, darkened the lines, and printed it onto some tracing paper. So using a light pad, I was able to transfer my sketch from the tracing paper to some hot press paper. Now, a lot of you guys know that last week I actually used hot press paper as well, and I think I said I was kind of on the fence whether or not I will use it more often in the future compared to my cold press paper. But after painting this Masaki painting, I actually really like how this performs, so I might use it a lot more in the future as well. I'll probably use up the 10 sheets that I do have just because it is a convenient size, but just something in the future I think I'll look into, like hot press, like journals and stuff, hot press paper, sketchbooks, now that I'm not restricted to just cold press paper now. So I showed you close-ups of my pencil sketch on the watercolor paper, and here I'm using mostly Holbein Watercolors. There's a few M.Graham&CO and some Grumbacher Academy and I believe one Winsor & Newton Cotman series watercolor. I'm using two different brushes today. So I have one from, I think, Artist Loft, which is the one I'm using right now, which is, I believe, a size 12, and I like doing this for just larger washes. It just holds a lot more water. It's just like a larger brush. And then the second brush that I'm going to be using, and it's a brush that I've been using a lot more compared to if you watch previous videos, I've been using my Raphael Kolinsky number 6 brush, I believe. But in the past, I would use like a size 8 round script brush, I believe, for most of my paintings. I kind of strayed away from it just to get more used to using some more softer, more kind of like bushier brushes, just because it's more readily available for me to use, I guess. I've been too accustomed to using that script liner brush, that really thin one, for painting, and I feel like I've been just restricted to doing just small details and not being able to do like big washes or anything. But even at this point, like, I did switch to do different brushes, so it's not like this is my holy grail brush anymore. But I believe this brush like does everything I needed to do. I can get big washes, flat washes, as well as really tiny detail because the hairs are really, really fine on this brush, and it comes to a really nice point. So just a disclaimer or a heads up, I do record these videos about 2 to 3 weeks in advance just to make sure I am able to have videos always every week. So if I say something like, oh, like, what do you guys prefer to see, and I don't execute it until like 2 videos after, that's the reason why. I believe the last 2 videos I didn't include any slower footage, and I guess it would have made sense if I did, because that would be direct feedback from what you guys said, which is you guys prefer to see more slower portions in some of these painting time lapses. So here I did include some slower footage just so you guys can see real time, because I know some people feel a bit of that disconnect when it's a speed paint and you're seeing everything going at like 6 or 10 times the speed, or like 16 times the speed, which is, I think, majority of the case here. The painting is like about 16 times normal speed. Right now I'm using just normal speed right now, so I can show you guys how slow I tend to paint and apply the washes and color fairly carefully, just because these are the base layers and I would like them to be fairly clean. Yeah, I feel like I'm being very rambly. This is a fairly lengthy video, just a heads up. It is about 17 minutes long, just because of all this real-time footage. But yeah, so let's talk about concept. So in the past, I've always done these almost like tiny world or miniature versions, or like them as chibis doing something in the bigger world, usually interacting with plants and stuff. And I usually do this for my 17 fan art, but I decided to take that concept and push it towards my OC Masaki. So if you guys don't know who Masaki is, he is my 21-year-old florist OC. He's a florist, part-time, I guess. There's a whole story, but there's like, I guess he's part-time, and he studies botany and floriculture in university. So yeah, that's his background info, I guess, for you. But yeah, he's just my favorite OC. I love drawing him. His colors are my favorite, and that might be the reason why I like drawing him as well. He's just an adorable little boy. So the whole reasoning how I came up with this idea. Now, I might find the sketch and I'll post it up as well. I have this, I think I've drawn this twice, where Masaki is wearing a backpack and he's looking, I guess, towards the viewer, but it's kind of like his body's like, I guess, like sideways, but his head's facing the viewer, so he'd be looking towards you. And his backpack is just like filled with flowers. Now, even though it looks very pretty, I kind of like the idea of supersizing the flowers and then making Masaki small. So making Masaki small, I guess I just changed him to chibi form, and then through his backpack he has these gigantic flowers kind of either growing from his backpack, or like how I like to think about it is that he's, you know how in Animal Crossing you can pick up flowers and like put them somewhere else? I feel like this is the way that Masaki would do it. I have two ideas for Masaki paintings for the future. I have some cute ideas to do, but I would like to do one more Wonu painting, like a witch Wonu, or like flower shop Wonu, potion shop kind of idea. I have like a lot of ideas floating in my head, and I feel like I just need to jot them down into my sketchbook so I don't forget them. But yeah, hopefully, because you're probably gonna see this about 3 weeks from now, hopefully I have either filmed or tried to execute those other ideas that I have floating in my head. Another thing that I really like doing, I've only done this I think a handful of times, maybe like 3 or 4 times, where I pick songs. So it's either like, sorry, I thought someone was outside. So songs like from 17, or it could be from Japanese songs, or any songs. I prefer songs that like require a translation, just because I feel like some of the songs that other cultures sing, when they're translated very beautifully. I'm not sure how accurate they are, but I still really enjoy reading a lot of these lyrics. So one of them was from Ritsuka Tachibana, I think. I don't remember what the star is called, like the star. The song is called, but it's revolving around the little prince, and I really like that. So it's another concept I like to revisit. I tried doing this concept. Is someone shoveling? Cool, okay. If you hear like random scritches and scratches, there's some dude like hacking at ice and like scraping the sidewalks. But yeah, so she talks about like this little prince, and I think it's like, I don't remember how the lyrics go, but it's like really pretty, and like the album artwork of it, I think, is like a prince looking into this gigantic garden in this beautiful like warm lighting that's like set in the evening, I believe. And I've always wanted to do a painting of Dogyam because he played King Arthur in a musical, so I kind of wanted to paint him laying in those flowers. I don't know, it's just an idea that I wanted to do, and it had something to do with like sadness and like, I don't know what it was. I'll see, I'll type out some of the lyrics on the screen maybe, and you guys can check it out, and maybe I'll leave the links to that song in the description. Another song that I want to portray, or why I have these ideas of Masaki, is one of Amatsuki's songs. I don't remember what the title is called either, but in the music video, I guess, like Amatsuki's character like finds this sprout leaf child or something, but like reading the lyrics, it's really beautiful and poetic, and it talks about, I think, like finding something that's lost, as well as like being sad about, I don't know how to explain it. I'll pop the lyrics again on the screen because my brain's just jumbled about too many song lyrics and I'm probably talking about the wrong ones. Yeah, but back to the art a little bit. I am doing the line work again with the same brush. I think I've only switched to the large brush when I was in the beginning to add that wash. Everything else was done with this specific brush. If you are able to concentrate your pigments and only a little bit of water with this brush, you can get really fine lines at the tip and it's fairly smooth. Actually, one gripe that I actually have with this paper, I'm not sure if it's all hot press paper or if it's like a characteristic of hot press, or maybe it's just oil transfer from my hand when I'm painting, even though I tried to make sure my hands are super duper clean this time, like free from oils. But if you look, I don't know if you guys can see it on screen. Actually, I didn't mention this. I'm so scatterbrained. My brain's like jumping from topic to topic, but I promise I'll get to everyone. So let's talk about the camera. I decided to use my normal DSLR instead of my webcam that I've been using for like how many months ago. I've been using that webcam for like speed paints and sketch with me's and all that. I am going to try to be a little bit more diligent with speed paints that are a little bit like, I prefer to be more serious or important. I will use my DSLR so you guys can get utmost quality as possible that I can achieve, and being able to get some of those angles where you guys can see some of the closer views, and then the overhead view, which I think a lot of you guys prefer the overhead view just because you like seeing the whole piece come together all at once. And my webcam doesn't do it justice because I believe at some certain point it does just look fuzzy. Okay, so back to the paper. Hopefully the camera can pick it up. There's these little white specks, or almost looks like where pigment doesn't want to lay on the paper, and I don't know if that's just the texture of the paper, which it might be because I only can see it in some areas. Actually, a lot of areas, but you can see it definitely in his apron and his like teal sweater. You can really see it. If not, I'll insert a picture with as much detail as I can so you guys can see what that looks like. But back to concepts. So yeah, one of the Amatsuki songs lyrics, I really want to paint something to that. I have a really cute idea. If like Masaki is, I don't know, like protecting a flower or a plant that's in the ground, and I guess he's like sad or emotional or tearing up at the fact that maybe this flower is wilting or dying, but he's protecting it from like maybe storm or wind or like rain, heavy rainfall is kind of what I was going for, or like a gloomy area where this flower is wilting, or I'll do the opposite where the flower or plant looks like it's all gloomy and dark and it's dying and everything around it is like flourishing and really glowing and stuff. I'll flesh that out in a different day. I have no idea if I'm gonna film anything of that or if it will ever come to life, but yeah. So I'm just doing the final line work, I believe, for the flowers. I had a lot of issues with just painting the flowers. I usually do have a hard time painting the flowers, and now I have a hard time speaking. But when don't I? But yeah, I had a lot of fun painting these. So these flowers are actually, I believe they're called crocuses. Crocus? I actually just found these randomly, but I found these really beautiful. They have really long, like bell shape-ish flowers that point upwards, and these really long, beautiful leaves that are lighter at the center, and they get darker as they get towards the tip, which I actually really enjoyed. So initially I was gonna paint the grass, so as you can see I did the line work for one of the blades of grass, but I decided to fill it all in because I thought the background's not important like at all, so I might as well not line it, leave it fairly not dark, just fairly light so that it doesn't draw too much attention. Now I'm just going in with white gouache instead of a white gel pen. I think in the past, like maybe a year ago, I would have used white gel pen for highlights and stuff, but I like the control that I can get with gouache, as well as no skipping as long as you get the right consistency. So that's what I like to use. One thing I really love doing when I do plant illustrations is adding dewdrops. So a tip to doing dewdrops, do the whites and the highlights just like that, like how I did it. So just a squashed circle and then do a little big highlight somewhere in the center or on the side of the, oh my god, the noise, near the edge or on like the top where the light source is coming from. And then after you let that dry, take a dark color and just do a shadow underneath the dewdrop, as well as a little bit of shadow near the highlight, so you get that three-dimensional kind of water look, and I think it looks really nice. I always love doing dewdrops. But yeah, I think that's the end of the footage for the most part, and then it'll cut to the final illustration. So here we go. So that's what it looks like from sketch, or my transferred sketch, to the final illustration. I actually had a lot of fun. That noise. I'll talk to you guys next week with another video, and hopefully with better audio, because this just absolutely sucks. Wow, okay, bye.